Should you buy Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the prominent story-driven Star Wars game, which was also single-player, created by the very talented folks over at Respawn Entertainment, who've worked on the Titanfall series as well as Apex Legends. Maybe a bit different to the traditional games they've worked on, yet they've done an excellent job. But the question I've proposed here is whether or not this incredible Star Wars game is worth buying and playing over 2 years after its initial release. Without further ado, let's get right into the review. The premise in which Jedi Fallen Order uses to build its story is fairly intriguing, being set 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, as we the player follow Jedi Padawan Cal Kestis as he becomes a large and valued target of the Galactic Empire and is hunted throughout the entirety of the galaxy by 2 Inquisitors, while also attempting to complete his long-lost training, escape his troubled past, and he has a large task of rebuilding what was destroyed by the Sith years prior, rebuilding the Jedi Order. It's an ambitious story, which is probably why it works so wonderfully. Apparently it's also canon, so for many that's another derivative in indulging yourself in such a story, and I think the game's execution in the structure and how it's written is utterly fantastic, and overall the story is really well written and does well to develop its characters and establish or redefine many of the notions that create the larger conceptions and lore of the entirety of the Star Wars universe, which is one that is so expansive with limitless potential for a writer to develop and weave an interactive story that still fits with the overarching themes of the franchise as a whole. Swiftly, let's touch on the soundtrack. The game retains many classical themes from the actual movies and TV shows that Star Wars has, with many of the themes composed by the musical genius John Williams being featured in this game in critical moments that gives us that sense of belonging in terms of being in the notion of a Star Wars medium, and I think that's truly wonderful. Also, the themes composed by the game's music directors and such is also excellent and are so awesome to listen to due to their undying nuanced feeling of belonging to the Star Wars brand in terms of a musical aspect, and they fit seamlessly with the music that was created by John Williams, which overall creates a collective array of music choices that build up this fantastic aura around the story, gameplay, and other aspects of the game that make it feel inherently like Star Wars in its approach, and that's something that the game dramatically benefits from and is another derivative in the fantastical nature of such a narrative and soundtrack that build up the wider notions of the universe, and I've overall got to say the music and story are just really well done. Jedi Fallen Order does so well to utilize the unique mechanics that can be derived from the power system featured in the Star Wars universe. Excellently, it's a third-person action-adventure game, and the director of the game, also known for directing God of War 3, has described the game as having thoughtful combat, agile exploration, and a Metroidvania level design. I've got to agree with pretty much every point he's stated there. The settings in many scenarios also does extremely well to complement the wider gameplay mechanics and the combat, as the environments allow for the powers and abilities to be used in such a unique way that feels so much like Star Wars, and the gameplay of this game is so much better than what we've seen in any other Star Wars game so far, including the Force Unleashed series, by adding another level of complexity and nuanced realization to the combat and gameplay mechanics that give this game an upper edge on many of the franchise's other video games. Of course, you've got access to a lightsaber as well as the Force, which are both utilized very much in, of course, combat scenarios, as well as many of the puzzles that are featured across the game's extremely expansive levels. The gameplay is also diversified by the different enemy types, which make you all utilize the many different aspects and gameplay mechanics featured within the different tools at your disposal, which allows you to fight in such unique and creative ways that make the game feel so much more varied in its approach to these certain areas. There's also different Force abilities that are unlocked throughout the game, which again adds another level of complexity to the overall gameplay as a whole, and not just the combat, due to the utter utilization of these mechanics in every section of the game, which makes each option and different ability as viable as it is to mix up the gameplay and make it feel so unique each time. Overall, the gameplay and combat are utterly fantastic and do extremely well to actually create a formula that isn't repetitive and makes the gameplay stand out opposed to many of the other Star Wars games we've had over the years. So of course you should absolutely buy this game even in 2021, being 2 years since its initial release. The reasons I've stated throughout the video should be your basis in developing your opinion on whether or not you should buy this game and whether this game has been built for you. And I think for most, even people that aren't exactly fans of the franchise as a whole, will definitely enjoy the game for all of its merits, and I'd definitely give this game a try if you enjoy story-driven games or just enjoy some awesome gameplay. I'd like to give this game a score as well, being an amazing 8.5 out of 10, which is another reflection of how good this game truly is. Anyway, that's all from me for today's video. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.